Happy Thursday, December 29th, Collective. So I've got some good stuff from the Most High. He revealed some aces that you still have, that I think your ops never realized that you had, that got you to this point. So I'm going to reveal some of those for you. And the word gram for today, I didn't spend a lot of time on it because I was really excited about the download, but for the 29th, you can get the word thunderhead and thunderstorm. Both of those words come out of today's date. So I just said that there's a thunderstorm destruction in the home stretch, because you can get all that from today's date. And I think it is in the home stretch. You can feel that energy. They're upset that, and I got this clock that was like tick, tick, tick. I don't know. You weren't supposed to make it to this point, and it's just, I'm just so glad that you're here and you're watching this video, because that means that you won. Because you weren't supposed to be here watching my video. It's like down to it's the home stretch, and the ancestors are making sure that you do stay here. Constantine, you can get that from today's date. Constantine was the emperor that, he was a Roman emperor that was promoting Christianity, but there's something about the endorsements are untrustworthy, because the endorsement came from a Catholic priest, so that came from today's date. There's a Mason stonecutter wanted mortar. He wanted the mortar to mix the new, the Masons were in charge of the Taj Mahal and the pyramids. They were builders. They wanted the mortar, but now they have nothing. So I feel like that they were trying to build something new and great, but now they have nothing. There's an attention to atonement today. Atonement is about pain, and that's kind of what I want to talk about. One of the aces in your sleeve. There's a guy on YouTube, and his name is Dr. Alan Miller, and he helped do a study on the language dolphins. And there are squeaks and there are clicks. He found it more advanced than the Hebrew language when they mathematically determined this language of the dolphins. So he did a lot of research on that. But one of the other things he researched is when these dolphins would be severely injured, like by a shark or something, they found it interesting that when they put autistic children around the tanks of these dolphins, autistic children would help these dolphins heal faster, because it was the ESP and that language of pain. They were able to heal themselves. And that's kind of one of the aces in your sleeve. And you're supposed to think about before you were, I'll let that one come out even though it's not in this deck. Think about before you were 7 years old. Was there an animal around you that was injured? Was there a person around you that was injured before you were 7 years old? Because at 7 years old, that's when your brain kind of seals itself and it's harder to, access those innate parts of the brain. So before you were 7, think about if anyone was injured around you or an animal that was injured, because there was something ESP-wise that you learned to speak to that pain. You learned to speak to that pain. In my particular instance, I had 2 handicapped children when I was under 7 years old that were in my home. So I would put socks on them and things and care for them in little ways that a 7-year-old can. But I had to learn to communicate with these 2 handicapped children. And that was the ESP, that was the pain language that I learned. Now a lot of it you abandon, once you get to 7 years old and you start, learning other things. But that part you won't ever abandon, is that ESP, that initial language to something that you couldn't communicate with in a normal way. And that's that language of pain. That's something your ops don't have. They didn't have that experience or be able to talk to something that was injured. You have that. Maybe some of you should be like animal doctors, like veterinarians, because there's something about you that can pick up on the language of pain, whether it be an animal, whether it be a person. And it helped heal you too with all these attacks of black magic. Yeah. This astrology and black magic, they are playing with something that you might as well, it's as dangerous as a physicist playing with cold fusion. It's that dangerous. And they've played with it, and they've played with it, and they've really injured, and they've abused people with it. And it's not right. And the only way that you survived is you have that little bit of love language that they didn't understand. You have a language they don't understand. And I'm telling you that when Dr. Alan Miller did this study on the dolphins, their language was more advanced than an ancient Hebrew language. So I think that's where you're at with this, is that whether you're a mammal or you're a human, your ability to cross those boundaries because you can communicate with pain is what you do. That's what you do, collective. It's remarkable. It's absolutely remarkable. And they can't do it. But yeah, the clock is ticking right now. You're not supposed to be here. And the attacks have been coming out. Just get your rest. And don't push yourself too hard, you know. I think they want to see you do like amazing feats of because you survived, and you don't have to do anything. Just breathe. So in the beginning of this reading is the Ace of Swords. Good, I'll let it come out. Ace of Swords. That's the truth, what I just told you. There's something about your language that they don't have, and that's what got you to survive. That's what healed you. Before I was 7 years old, I was helping handicapped children. I had to talk to them. They were the only ones around me, right? So I had to learn to communicate with these people. And I did. Because it was a love language that was in my, and probably in the 4th house of your chart. Look at your 4th house of your astrology chart. That can be the place where it's your nest. Look at your nest. And ask people if you don't remember. Did we have an injured cat or dog around us in the home that I was... Because there was something about that moment that you learned to talk to that injured mammal. Yeah, it's kind of cool. It really is. The crossing energy is this collaboration that they're very upset about. Yeah. So I'm gonna get the little cards out. Tell us about this collaboration, Spirit. What's this collaboration that was against the collective? What's this collaboration about? A lot of you, it's insurance claims. Maybe that's what's expiring, or that's what, maybe they had to the end of the year to get that accomplished. A lot of them went above and beyond. Yeah, their spell work was like playing with cold fusion. They should not have been legally allowed to play with the spell work that they did. They crossed a lot of boundaries because archaically what magic was supposed to heal, right? It wasn't supposed to be used to kill, and they've absolutely distorted it where somebody needs to come in and the ancestors are doing that, like cutting the boundaries. Like you've taken it too far. You know, you have this archaic knowledge, and yet you're using it to abuse a chosen one. They've used it to abuse you. And there was an investigator in your case that, there were several investigators in your case that were assigned your case, absolutely were horrified what they saw and what they realized what was happening and had to bow out. That's what this card says. They had to bow out. Because, one, they realized they're going to keep paying until this is accomplished, regardless of what I can prove legally. It really broke this person's heart to walk away from your case. But every time they tried to bring it forward, they had paid that next person off. They had paid that next person off. So they were dismissed. It's okay, we got it, you're good, thank you. And they had to be dismissed. And these are people that had so much invested in getting some liberty for you or getting some justice for you, and they had to walk. Can you imagine how that broke that person's heart? Because they realized what they had fated for you. But that's okay. I'm going to tell that investigator, it's okay. Because the ancestors know what is fated for these people, no matter who they paid up the chain. So, in the subconscious, they're walking away. In the front of their consciousness, okay, and I'm going to qualify this. What kind of love are we talking about here? Is this the kind of love where they apologize, or is this love from the collective? Let's qualify that. So tell me about this Ace of Cups. Who's walking away from this Ace of Cups, Spirit? Tell me about this Ace of Cups. That's that language that you have, that ESP. Dr. Alan Miller also worked with Navy SEALs. He worked with Navy SEALs to teach them ESP for undercover missions and things because they realized that this was a language that would help them in secret missions. He's got some books and stuff out and he has a YouTube video too, but he's a very interesting person because he has these really far out cool studies that he did. But yeah, that was one of the aces in your sleeve. So to qualify this Ace of Cups, is there's a theft that's been turned upside down. So they can't go through with one of the many thefts that they tried to accomplish. We've got a King of Cups that's burdened because he had to walk away from some happiness and all of his work. This King of Cups would be a Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio. And then we also have a Queen of Pentacles again that's in the cold. So these two people are in the cold. And I was talking about earth and water at the last reading, earth and water, and that kept sticking with me. Like, why did I bring that up? Why did I bring that up? Yeah, there's a reason why I bring that up. Because earth and water are set in the past. Fire and air are always usually future. Okay, because fire and air is progressive. Earth and water is usually stuck in the past. You can't live in the past, collective. There's no way you could function if you were living in the past because of this, what they've done. So you have to let it go. They are shocked that you're letting it go. But there is no way in your makeup of your ascendants that you can walk in the past. Because what they did was crazy wrong. And there's no way to come around it and spin the story a special way so that you do accept it and move back that direction. There is no way on God's green earth that you can do that. So earth and water are always in the past, okay? I'm not saying that that they can't ascend into the future, but normally speaking, their innate nature is to stay with what they know. They want to stick with what they know. Earth and water. They stick with what they know, what's solid, okay? What water, the river, the rocks that they can run over that they're used to, and the earth that they're used to stepping on, okay? That's earth and water signs for you. And fire and air, they're used to something that they can't even reach, right? They're just up here that's air and fire. They're always grasping for something they can't quite. So that was the dichotomy. I kept trying to bring that up in the last reading. I didn't know where I was going with that. But it's because of these two people that are stuck in the past, had to walk away from happiness, are quite burdened by it, because of all the work they did. They spent a lot of money on this. And the payoff was supposed to be you being gone. I'm not going to pay for your spell work. I'm not going to pay for it. It's not my problem you spent all that money on spell work when you could have helped me out, when you could have stabilized me. And they've made it so hard for you, Chosen One. They've made it so hard for you to move forward. Because you were incompetent? Because you can speak to dolphins and injured animals in a special way that they can't? That's how they called you special. Oh, because they talk to injured people and we don't know what they're saying. Yeah, and it's a love language that God ordained you. God ordained you that. And it's a language they can't touch. And they're very burdened by it. So that's in the front of their consciousness. It's a love they can't reach. A love they can't reach. So you're walking away from, accepting any kind of apology from these people. You could really care less. Because however they spin it, it's in the past. And you can't live in the past. Because they stopped you so many back to back times. It didn't matter what job you applied for. They'd pick up the phone. Yo, don't hire that person. They've got a drug problem. Okay, so I don't even get an interview. Great. And there was no reason for it. You're highly educated. You're highly able to do, you're high functioning to do most of the jobs you applied for. And yet every single time, don't hire that person. It's like, stuff it up your left ear. That's why you have to work for yourself. Because I don't think your future and what you want to walk into, although it's going to be really nice to meet people that actually want to invest in you because they'll see they won't see the curse. They're going to see what they can invest in and what's lucrative for them, for you to be a part of their team. But you're not going to have that rejection, and that's going to feel so weird because you're used to all this rejection. You're not going to have it. They get to keep the rejection. They get to keep it now. Okay, that's part of their karma now. is we'll see how far you get with that and see how far you endure with that. Because it was hard to endure that because you started to take it so personally, like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. You were a piece in a chess game that was supposed to be knocked over. Then you weren't knocked over. Yeah. So they're in their tower. They're moving toward a tower. You want this to happen. You want this to happen to prove, like, look, your intentions were wrong. You don't over manipulate people's futures. Every step of the way, they had it all planned out. How you were going to fall, how you weren't going to get up again, how you were going to be suicidal, how you were going to give up on life. No, because you talk to injured things. There's something about you, collective, that you could go out of your house right now, and if there was a bird that was injured, or that you just touching it, or just setting it back up on its feet, or just, you know, speaking words onto it, you have healed it. There's just something about that, and nobody else has it. Nobody else has it. It's because of your vibration. It's your magnetism. That's just in you, and they don't have that language, so it's very irritating to them. So you're moving toward, okay, so because of this work that they did that might have put you in the cold, like you might not be as stable right now as you want to be, but you're still independent, regardless of if you feel in the cold, and regardless of the work that they've done and this fight that you had to walk away from, that nobody was winning, right? Yeah, Christmas was alone for me, a time to be alone. That's what Christmas was. But they were honest with me. My ancestors were like, well, either we give you the big party with the den of thieves, or we have you to ourselves, because we want you consecrated. We want you set apart. And it was part of it. It was part of passing that test, because I guess I could have had like some sense of, oh, you know, it's Christmas. I should put my best foot forward. No. They told me not to. It doesn't matter. You are to be set apart. And that's lonely. But guess what? That's not going to be every Christmas. That was just this Christmas, to get over this. And to send the message to these collaborators that this isn't a game. You've been the victim of something that should never be done to another human being. That was the message that you were hoping to send to these investigators that had to walk away. Investigators that had to walk away because they had paid somebody higher? Wow. You don't even know what's coming your way. I'm just telling your ops, watch out. Fun, fun, fun. It is going to be fun now that they've had to walk away. So the environment sees this person, and this person's probably coming toward you, this King of Pentacles. So Spirit, tell me about this King of Pentacles. What does he have to do with everything? Tell me about this King of Pentacles. Why does the environment see him? He's probably the only one to come forward in a position, maybe the only one that's still stable. Because this is an earth sign, right? But he's the king. So this would be an earth sign that would at least be able to hold on to enough earthly things to get this water sign and this other earth sign out of the trap that they've dug for themselves. They're so burdened they don't have any other magic up their sleeve, right? But this guy might be able to help them because he's the king. So the king is also burdened. Okay, so the king's also burdened. But he also recognizes that you can't move away until you get out of this energy. He's hoping you'll stay in this energy just long enough that he can get to you before you move away. That hasn't happened yet. But what he doesn't realize is that you're never in that energy. That you can go out that door right now and you can talk to things that heal you, that are injured. But he has no idea what you're saying to them. He has no idea of that love language. And that's around you all the time. And that's a miracle. It's a miracle. So what he sees as this energy is not that energy to you. You're a walking healer. And it doesn't matter where you're at. That gift is given to you, and that's the ace up your sleeve. Are there injured people out there? Everywhere. I've seen some of the readings where you're absolutely taxed by these lonely people that need the guidance of a chosen one to feel healed, to feel okay, to feel like they can move on. They're around us every single day. And a collective, you have that special language, that love language that this person doesn't have. So no matter what your environment, you're going to have that gift. And I'm sure it could be lucrative for a lot of you. I'm sure it could. So just tune into it a little bit and ask your ancestors to show you how specifically your talents work with that. So in your environment, there is a Queen of Wands. So tell me about this Queen of Wands. Is the Queen of Wands with the King of Pentacles? Are these two a couple? This might have been the couple that came after you. This Bonnie and Clyde couple. And they've been doing it for many years, Spirit told me. Many, many years. And it was a plan. It was a plan. They had a plan. And they didn't see anything wrong with it. They didn't see anything wrong with it. Do these people have a consciousness that there's nothing wrong with sabotaging someone's future even though they did nothing to them? What is wrong with these people's consciousness? What was so cool about this plan? Money. To give them stability and to sacrifice you. Many years of it. I'm telling you, them playing with magic was worse than the physicists playing with cold fusion. It might as well have been the US and Russia working together to send someone to Mars. It was that highly classified. It was that highly, like, they just shouldn't have been touching something that they they abused it. They abused it. There's nothing wrong with studying to send somebody to Mars, but it's how you do it and the intent that you use. You're going to send live people to Mars? Okay. And not tell anybody? It was that kind of abuse. Because they knew that the live people couldn't make it to Mars. They couldn't survive the gamma rays. These people knew that. And yet they put them on the spaceship and they sent them to Mars. And I'm telling you, that's what kind of magic they're doing. They didn't care that there was a heartbeat behind that person. That there was a real person behind this experiment. Yeah, I'm a real person. I'm getting really sick of being in your sick little game. I'm not your little pawn. And these people need to be reminded of that. I don't know why they're not in jail. I'm so sorry, chosen ones. They should be in jail. But there's some way that they were able to hide, and a lot of it was paying people that were really high up. Highly classified people. But believe me, there's even generals that are highly classified, and you can read this from this Alan Miller guy. He'll tell you he was like a GS-18, and he wasn't privy to some of these classified projects. So there's always somebody that has a more classified project ahead of yours. Okay? I want you to tell that to these two people in your life that ruined your life, sabotaged your life, your old life, because you're not in the old life. But they basically tried to sabotage you and put you 6 feet under. And they didn't realize that somebody had a more highly classified project ahead of theirs. Yeah, because they're going to be brought to justice. So to qualify this, so they collaborated and they're defending their actions. These two collaborated together, Queen of Wands and this King of Pentacles. They collaborated together to defend what they did, their actions. They were abusive. They were abusive, okay? I hope that any judge that hears this in a court of law realizes how abusive they truly were. The outcome of this is, they're going to have to act accordingly. This card is telling me they're going to have to walk the line. They're going to have to act accordingly because they are going to be brought to justice. So they can't get away with their little, I'll be nice, and it'll be a spell of generosity. I don't believe in your spells of generosity. I believe everything you've ever bought me was so that you could take it when I died. That's the only reason I got new cars or whatever else you got me, because you could take it when I died. That's the only reason you got me anything, okay? You can't get away with that behavior. And the universe is going to make sure of it, collective. Happy Thursday. Amen.